10 things I care more about than the presidential impeachment. Now, a little primer. I don't pay too close attention to politics. And I guess that's kind of the point of all this. Now, I know enough, a general sense of what's going on in the world, but I try not to get bogged down in all the details. So let's talk about 10 things I care more about than this impeachment thing that's going on. Number one, this podcast. Now, this podcast is just a symbol, I guess, of any type of creative outlet that I can put out into the world. This podcast is just my thoughts, my ideas, things I've written, things I cared about, things I wanted to try to explain better maybe. Sometimes it's just me ad-libbing, like right now. But that's important to my life, and it's important for me to be able to put something out in the world, even if no one ever listens to it. That doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is doing something. Now, number two, it's coming up with better ways to make healthcare more sustainable. Now, here's a newsflash. I am not smart enough to come up with some kind of, grand scope scheme or plan or whatever that could fix all the problems in healthcare. But I do know that I can focus on my practice and my part in it. And when I say sustainable, it doesn't just mean affordable, right? It also means providing good quality care to people. Because in the end, that's what it is. It's a person that you're treating, somebody who's having some type of difficulty that maybe I can help with. But just because I have the skills to help them, if they're not able to see me, if we have come up with some type of boundaries to keep us from interacting, to keep the health care from being provided, then what good does it do, right? So we're having to come up with ways to make things better. And number three, my family's health. My family's health is more important to me than the presidential impeachment. Many of you follow along. You know that we've got a daughter who's being treated for a condition. I've got another daughter who may have to have surgery. And though things could definitely be worse, sometimes it can be stressful, especially when you have family members that you see them hurting, you see them sick and suffering, and you want to fix that, you just want to take that pain away, but you can't. So sometimes the only way for you to help endure that pain for them is just to be there for them. Now, number four, the fourth thing that I care more about than the presidential impeachment is just being a good citizen. Taking a step back from world politics and our nation's politics, which is what most people seem to care the most about. Most people care more about the presidential election than Senate elections, more so than state representative elections, more so than who's the mayor, more so than who's your local supervisor. But your community is where you live. Your community is what shapes your children's future. Your community is your school. It's your paramedics. It's your teachers, it's your electricians, your power company. Your community is the people that you are most connected to and most likely to influence and the most likely to be influenced by. And you'll do the most good just focusing on yourself and focusing on being the best citizen you can be. Number five, fifth thing I care more about than this presidential impeachment is reading a good book. Now, right now, I'm reading kind of this long fiction book, and it's kind of wordy and difficult, and so I have to take breaks from it, and I read some nonfiction in between, and then, of course, I go on the occasional Netflix binge. But reading a good book brings you ideas, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and I think you should read both. It just brings ideas from another source that's usually very well researched or thought out to help you see things from a different point of view. And maybe to think about things in a way that you've never thought about them before. It opens up different areas of your brain than just mindlessly watching a movie or TV. Now, I'm not against watching movies or TV or anything like that. But there's something about reading. And so maybe you're not much of a reader. So just start small. Pick something and read it. If you're into philosophy, I always encourage people to read the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible. And tell me what you think. If you're not into philosophy, if you like weird stuff, read some Stephen King. But there's lots of options to jump into and to find like a niche that you just really enjoy. All right. Number 6 on the 10 things I care more about than the presidential impeachment, Jujitsu. Now, I've talked about Jujitsu several times. I am a novice, a white belt, a beginner, if you will. I've probably been doing it too long to call myself a beginner, but yet I still feel very much like a beginner. But that's okay. There is something humbling about going into like this, we'll call it a sport or activity, that everyone around you is better than you. But yet they're still very encouraging, wanting to see you get better. And so though when you compete with someone else, they might be able to get the best of you, right? But there's something about you can still pick up skills and improve and progress. And I think that every man should train in some type of martial arts fighting or, sharpshooting or something to that effect that will make you feel just a little bit violent. Because when you actually know how to harness that, harnessed violence is actually meekness. And meekness is a virtue. All right, so number 7, coffee. I'm drinking coffee right now. You know I love black coffee. Truth is, I didn't always drink it black. I used to add a lot of sugar. And because I love coffee so much, I drink it throughout the day. And I was just basically mainlining sugar all day long. And I knew that was not going to be sustainable. It was not healthy for me to, even if it was just a small amount of sugar, just constant ingestion of sugar is not a good thing. So a couple years back, I just said, you know what? I'm cutting it out. So no sugar, no sweetener, just straight black coffee. Just like my soul. But it's okay to have some type of vice as long as it does not control you. Number 8, breaking the world pull-up record. Now, there's a caveat to this. I'm probably never going to break the world pull-up record. What I really mean by this is I like doing weighted pull-ups. And there is something about physically exerting yourself and pushing yourself into a new direction that you've never been. Now, I chose weighted pull-ups, I guess, a while back as maybe my pet lift because I didn't really see many other people doing them. And I really just wanted to see what I could do. And so it doesn't have to be pull-ups for you. It can be anything that you're able to just continually get better at, that you're pushing your body in a new direction, stronger. because your physicality is important. Now, maybe you've got some type of disability or handicap where you can't be real physical. But my guess is there is something that you can do and that you can practice over and over again, that you're going to have to discipline yourself to really get the most out of it. But I guarantee you there's something you can do that it won't be tomorrow, it won't be a week, it might be 2 years from now that you're doing it over and over every week, practicing. And in 2 to 3 years, you're better than 99% of the people around you. Now, I'm not there yet with pull-ups, so don't think I'm trying to brag or anything. But my point is, I want to do something until I break it or it breaks me. Number 9, remembering to take my cholesterol medicine. Okay, I'm throwing this in there for you guys because I want you to know I feel your pain, okay? I know when I get labs back on patients, I'm always having to ask them, okay, now did you forget your medicine here? Because this, is a little off, and if you were taking your medicine, I would expect it to look different. And, some of the time they say, no, I took it every day, never miss. And sometimes they admit, actually, I forgot it, 3 times last week, or, right before you checked the labs, I had run out and I didn't go get it filled. And so it kind of just, it doesn't give me the information I want with the labs. But the truth is, we're all human and we forget things. And so why is it important for me to take my cholesterol medicine? Because my health matters, right? It matters to me more than the presidential impeachment. So I want to take my cholesterol medicine. I want to be healthy. I want to take my health seriously. I don't want to be passive about what's going on in my life. Now, with this comes my responsibility to try to eat healthier and to try to exercise, some of the other things we've been talking about. Now, number 10, on the 10 things I care more about than the presidential impeachment, is my 50-year wedding anniversary. Now, I'm not there yet. We're, I guess, at maybe 19 years, somewhere around there. I don't know. But my point is, my marriage is important. And so I'm making plans today for the future. Because the 19 years or so in the past, they were good, but they don't guarantee my future. So I have to do what needs to be done, right? As a husband, as a father, as a friend. I have to make sure I'm the best version of those things. It's my responsibility. And so when you start thinking of things like that, when you start thinking of your relationships as your responsibility, it means you make different choices in your life. When you put the burden on yourself. Now, please don't get me wrong, because I am definitely not saying that, if you're in a toxic relationship, that, it's your fault if things go wrong or whatever. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're in a good and healthy relationship, then make sure you're doing everything you can on your end to keep it that way. Because it's easy to get in the habit of ignoring people and ignoring feelings and just getting into the same old routines. So I would say that my marriage and my family is much more important to me than the presidential impeachment. Now, so those are my top 10 things. Could I have added more? Yes, of course. There's plenty more to add. I'm not even sure if I put anything spiritual on this list. Looking back at it, I don't think I did. But look, the whole point of this list, which I just kind of threw together, and I've just been ad-libbing this podcast, the point of this list is that your life is a choice. The things you focus on, a choice. How you handle the things that come your way, a choice. What you say, a choice. What you do, a choice. How you live, a choice. You've got no control over national politics. I'm sorry. But you do have control over yourself. And maybe life is going to throw you some curveballs. But you can decide if you're going to swing or not. You decide what you're going to make a priority. And eventually, you decide what are your 10 things that are more important to you than the presidential election.